Once upon a time, but not the way you remember it, this story hides secrets, twists, but what if I told you this fairy tale isn't just a bedtime story, but a revolution? Let's read it together, and when we're done, we'll pull back the curtain on the hidden truths lurking in the pages.
Hey there, fellow book lovers and storytellers. If you dream in plot twists, hoard notebooks like a dragon, and occasionally argue with your own characters, welcome home. I'm MT Lynx, an indie author obsessed with crafting stories, decoding the magic of writing, and sharing everything I've learned along the way. Whether you're here for fairy tale deep dives, self-publishing secrets, or just some good old-fashioned bookish chaos, you're in the right place. So, grab a cozy drink, settle in, and let's turn the page on this adventure together. Don't forget to hit like if you love stories, and subscribe if you want to write your own. Let's do this! Fairy tales just aren't bedtime stories. They're reflections of history, culture, and deep, sometimes hidden meanings. Today, we're diving into an old Welsh tale, Welsh Rabbit and the Hunted Hares, a story filled with food, faith, and of all things, rabbits. But beneath the surface, this tale carries themes of compassion, transformation, and even rebellion. Let's break it down. Hey fellow story lovers, I know some of you enjoy watching these videos with all the visuals, but I also know that some of you just want to listen, maybe even relax or draw or fall asleep to a good fairy tale. If you do want to keep watching, no worries, but if you'd rather just listen, skip to the timestamp here. Sound good? Alright then, get comfy, close your eyes if you'd like, and let's dive into today's tale. Theme 1. Food as tradition and identity. Start with something delicious. Welsh Rabbit. Or, as some mistakenly call it, Rarebit. No, this isn't about an actual rabbit. It's a dish made from melted cheese on toast, a creation linked to St. David, the patron saint of Wales. This part of the story highlights just about how food isn't just about survival, it's about culture. The people of Wales found a way to create a satisfying, meatless dish at a time when hunting was a huge part of daily life. It's a reminder that identity isn't just what we fight for, but also what we choose to eat and celebrate. Theme 2. The protection of the innocent. Now here's where the story takes a mystical turn. We shift from St. David's cheese making to a young woman named Monacella, later known as St. Melangesh. She flees from an unwanted marriage and finds refuge in the wilderness. But what happens next? A hunted hare rushes towards her, seeking protection. This isn't just about a rabbit, it's about the sacredness of life. The hare, often a symbol of vulnerability, finds sanctuary, just like Melangesh herself. It's a story about protecting the powerless, whether they're animals or people in need of refuge. Theme 3. Defying power and creating sanctuary. The prince in this story is used to being obeyed. When he orders the dogs to off the hare, they should have offed it, but they don't. Nature itself rebels against cruelty. And instead of punishing Melangesh, the prince does something surprising. He listens. He recognizes her goodness and grants her land as a sanctuary for anyone in need. Listen, this is huge. In a time when kings and nobles ruled absolutely, Melangesh, a woman, a fugitive, a recluse, gains power without violence. It's a radical idea that true strength isn't about conquering, it's about protecting. Theme 4. Transformation and legacy. Melangesh's sanctuary became a real place, Pennant Melangesh, a church in Wales that still stands today, and her lands, the hares, are seen as sacred symbols of her protection. This story isn't just about a saint or a dish of melted cheese. It's about transformation, how a hunted hare became a symbol of peace, how a prince became a protector instead of someone who could hurt someone, and how a woman who fled her fate ended up shaping history. Welsh Rabbit and the Hunted Hares is more than just a fairy tale. It's a story about food, identity, and the right to protect what matters. It's about how even the smallest creature, the hare, can carry deep symbolic weight. And maybe, just maybe, it's a reminder that sometimes the greatest power comes not from chasing, but from offering sanctuary. But what do you think? Have you heard of this tale before? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's chat about the hidden meaning and folklore together. And hey, if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more deep dives into the magic of storytelling. And now you know. Until next time, keep writing, keep creating, and keep seeking stories that matter, especially your own. And if you got all the way to this point, drop a rabbit in the comments. I just am the captain managing editor cut, and all while I sit on your lap and purr in the purriest of ways, right? The story of Welsh Rabbit and Hunted Hares. Long, long ago, there was a good saint named David who taught the early Cymric or Welsh people better manners and many good things to eat and ways of enjoying themselves. Now the Welsh folk, in speaking of their good teacher, pronounced his name Tafod, and affectionately Taffy, and this came to be the usual name for a person born in Wales. In our nurseries, we all learned that Taffy was a Welshman, but it was their enemies who made a bad rhyme about Taffy. Wherever there were cows or goats, people could get milk, so they always had what was necessary for a good meal, whether it were breakfast, dinner, or supper. Milk, cream, curds, whey, and cheese enriched the family table. Were these not enough? But Saint David taught the people how to make still a more delicious food out of the cheese, and that this could be done without taking the life of any creature. Saint David showed the girls how to take the cheese, slice and toast it over the coals, or melt it in a skillet and pour it hot over toast or a biscuit. This gave the cheese a new and sweeter flavour. When it spread on bread, either plain or brown, over the fire, the result in combination was a delicacy fit for a king and equal to anything known. The fame of this new addition to the British bill of fare spread near and far, and the English people, who had always been fond of rabbit pie and still eat thousands of molly cottontails every day, named it Welsh Rabbit and thought it one of the best things to eat. In fact, there are many people who do not easily see the joke, or who misunderstand the fun, or who suppose the name to be either slang or vulgar or a mistake, and who call it rarebit. It's like Cape Cod turkey, codfish, or Bombay ducks, dried fish, or Irish plums, potatoes, and such funny cookery with fancy names. Now, up to this time, the rabbits and hares had been so hunted with the aids of dogs that there was hardly a chance of any of them surviving the cruel slaughter. In the year of 604, the Prince of Powers was out hunting. The dogs started a hare and pursued it into a dense thicket. When the hunter and the horn came up, a strange sight met his eyes. There he saw a lovely maiden. She was kneeling at the ground and devoutly praying. Although surprised by this, the prince was anxious to secure his game. He hissed on the hounds and ordered the horn to be blown, for the dogs to charge on their prey, expecting them to bring him the game at once. Instead of this, though, they were trained dogs, and they would fight even a wolf. They slunk away howling and frightened, as if in pain, while the horn stuck fast to the lips of the blower, and he was silent. Meanwhile, the hare nestled under the maiden's dress, and seemed not in the least disturbed. Amazed at this, the prince turned to the fair lady and asked, "Who are you?" She answered, "My mother named me Monocella. I have fled from Ireland when my father wished to marry me to one of his chief men, whom I did not love. Under God's guidance, I came to this secret desert place where I have lived for 15 years without seeing the face of a man." To this the prince in admiration replied, "O most worthy Melengesh," which is the way the Welsh pronounce Monocella, "because on account of thy merits, it has pleased God to shelter and save this little wild hare. I, on my part, herewith present thee with this land, to be in the service of God, and an asylum for all men and women who seek thy protection. So long as they do not pollute this sanctuary, let none, not even prince or chieftain, drag them forth." The beautiful saint passed the rest of her life in this place. At night she slept on a bare rock. Many were the wonders wrought for those who with pure hearts sought her refuge. The little wild hares were under her special protection, and they are still called Melengesh's lambs.